Sridhara Maharaj used to say, we are not a picture-looking religion.
Sridhara Maharaj solía decir, no somos unos personas que están viendo solamente las fotos como religión.
But pictures do exist.
Pero en sí las fotos existen.
And they are to remind us of Krishna.
Y nos recuerdan a Krishna.
And also they are there in the process of worshiping Krishna.
Y también está incluido en el proceso de adorar a Krishna.
There are rules, regulations, and stories, and much information behind a picture. Remember, a photo is worth 1,000 words.
Y hay regulaciones, reglas para hacer la adoración y todo eso, pero hay que recordar, una foto dice más que 1000 palabras.
Right, you have that saying in the world, a photo is worth 1,000 words.
Sí, que tenemos eso mismo, ¿no? De que aquí se dice que una foto vale como 1000 palabras.
But in Krishna consciousness, a photo may be worth, or may be worth an infinite number of words.
Pero en esta cuestión de Vaishnavismo es una foto es un número infinito de palabras.
Srila Prabhupada explained the photos in a simple way. They are windows to the spiritual world.
Srila Prabhupada explicaba de una forma muy simple que las fotos son ventanas para el mundo espiritual.
So there's much to say about that. But photos can also be deceiving.
Deceiving es
engañando.
La foto puede ser algo engañoso.
For example, let me point to a very simple one. If you take the Krishna consciousness movement, now some of you are very new to names and the pictures and everything like that, but if you go around the world to devotees who are 5 years and more and ask them to explain the pictures from Prabhupada to Bhaktisiddhanta to Gaurava like this and through the line, they will say what they have to say about Prabhupada, and then they will say Prabhupada is a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta. Then they will say Bhaktisiddhanta is a disciple of Gaurava. And then they will say Gaurava is a disciple of Bhaktivinoda. And then Bhaktivinoda is a disciple of Jagannath Babaji. Correct? Wrong. That's not correct.
Que muchos no tenemos experiencia para saber de algunos nombres, pero si vas a tiempo atrás, pues se puede explicar el parámpara que muchos tenemos la concepción de que es de Prabhupada. Era un discípulo de Bhaktisiddhanta. Bhaktisiddhanta era discípulo de Gaurava Babaji. Gaurava Babaji era discípulo de Bhaktivinoda Thakura. Y dice, ¿es cierto? Y si le decimos sí, dice, no, es incorrecto eso.
So that's a linear, what we call in modern language, that's a linear, like A equals B equals C, it's a like this. But our parampara is something different.
Sí, hay una línea donde es del A, B, C, D, adelante, ¿no? Pero el parámpara de Guru Maharaj es diferente.
It involves both Diksha and Shiksha.
Y envuelve lo que es el Diksha y el Shiksha.
They are sometimes together in one, and they are sometimes separated.
Algunas veces está combinado y es lo mismo, pero hay veces que es separado.
Nowadays, whomever you're initiated by, then you will say, oh, that is my guru.
Y ahora en estos días, cuando alguien te inicia, pues dices, ese es mi guru.
Right, and that is also true.
Y eso es verdad.
But when you come to these pictures, Bhaktivinoda Thakura is not initiated by Jagannath Das Babaji.
Pero cuando ves estas fotos, Bhaktivinoda Thakura no fue iniciado por Jagannath Das Babaji.
But he did receive Shiksha by example.
Pero él recibió Shiksha por ejemplo.
From Jagannath Das Babaji.
De Jagannath Das Babaji.
And maybe some Shiksha verbally. Shiksha is in two ways, by example and by actual words.
Y también verbalmente recibe algunas instrucciones, pero el Shiksha se maneja de dos formas, por ejemplo y cuando contribuyen con palabras.
Now, Gaurava, if we say Gaurava is disciple of Bhaktivinoda, well, actually he wasn't initiated by Bhaktivinoda.
Y decimos que Gaurava es discípulo de Bhaktivinoda, pero nunca fue iniciado por Bhaktivinoda.
But certainly Gaurava he liked to listen to the lectures of Bhaktivinoda.
Pero a Gaurava le gustaba escuchar las conferencias de Bhaktivinoda.
So you could say that Gaurava is the Shiksha disciple of Bhaktivinoda.
Y uno podría decir que Gaurava es el discípulo de Shiksha de Bhaktivinoda.
right? But later on, Gaura Kishore initiated Bhaktivinoda.
Pero después, Gaura Kishore inició a Bhaktivinoda.
In Babaji Vaiṣṇava, renunciation. Babaji Sannyas.
En la renunciación en Babaji Sannyas.
So there you have an example of the disciple initiating the guru.
Ese es un ejemplo del discípulo iniciando al guru.
So this isn't just about an order of photos or some static passing on of something. It is a very, Krishna consciousness is a very dynamic process, and it is a living process. And it is, above all things, not static.
Para entender esto es que la conciencia de Krishna, el proceso, es dinámico, algo viviente, y no es un proceso estático nada más.
So, how to codify the dynamic process has always been a struggle.
Y cómo notar que siempre el...
Codify means to, well, I don't like to use the word institutionalize it, but to set up a system where others can enter. Rules, regulations, sí. All these things.
Y cómo nombrar a esto que sea como algo que pueda ser establecido como un sistema.
For example, the 4 rules, we call them the 4 regulative principles. No illicit relationships, no meat, fish, eggs, no intoxication, no gambling.
Como por ejemplo los 4 regulaciones, ¿no? No relaciones ilícitas, no comer carne, ni huevos, ni pescado, no juegos de azar y no intoxicación.
Practically every Mayavadi and every Sahaji in India will follow those principles.
Prácticamente todos los Mayavadis en India siguen esos principios.
And hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of just Hindus also.
Y para no decir, cientos de miles o hasta millones de hindús lo siguen automáticamente.
But we will not accept them as pure.
Pero no aceptaremos eso como ya que es puro.
That is a very fundamental basis of purity.
Ese es un fundamento muy básico de pureza.
Like, just because you didn't murder somebody doesn't automatically mean you're a good citizen.
Sí, no porque no hayas asesinado a alguien quiere decir que eres un ciudadano bueno.
But if you do murder somebody, then we know definitely you're a bad citizen.
Pero si ya asesinaste a alguien, pues ya sabremos que eres un mal ciudadano.
So these are not, this is not the criterion of purity.
Ese no es un criterio de pureza.
However, to avoid those principles and think that you can advance in spiritual life is ludicrous.
Y también
foolish.
Es tonto pensar que el evitar esos 4 principios y puedes pasar a otro lado es tontería.
But spiritual purity goes beyond pure material habits.
Pureza espiritual es más allá de hábitos puros materiales.
But to enter the doorway, the puerto, there must be rules and regulations. There must be a standard. But just that standard by itself is not the goal.
Y para llegar a esa puerta hay unos estándares, pero si sigues esos estándares todo, tampoco es suficiente.
The goal is in a dynamic, purely spiritual and dynamic, and what is another? Spontaneous platform.
La meta es algo espontáneo, dinámico, más bien es una base espontánea y dinámica, un fundamento así.
But oftentimes it's hard to understand that platform.
Pero muchas veces es difícil entender esa plataforma.
And so we tend to judge purity by material standards.
Entonces tratamos de juzgar la pureza por estándares materiales.
For example, there is a controversy. If you go back a few years in the Hare Krishna movement, that controversy is, did Prabhupada take snuff? Snuff is a tobacco that you go...
Como hay una controversia en el movimiento Hare Krishna donde se pregunta uno si en verdad Prabhupada tomó el tabaco, así por la nariz, como dice.
So in Prabhupada's room in Vrindavan, there was a display case with many of his personal things.
En su cuarto de Vrindavan tenía una mesita con muchas cosas personales.
Now, I mean, these were put there after his disappearance from the world.
Se refiere a que cuando desapareció este mundo, lo pusieron esas cositas en la mesa.
So one of those things was a little silver box, and it had a little label. It said Prabhupada's snuff box.
Y había una cajita ahí de plata que tenía una etiqueta que decía tabaco de Prabhupada.
See? So it was there for years. I know it was there for at least 20, it was there for about at least 20 or 25 years.
Estuve ahí por 20 o 25 años eso.
Then somebody said, this is not possible, this is bogus.
Y alguien podría decir, eso no es posible, eso es falso.
So people said, well, what do you mean?
¿A qué te refieres?
Prabhupada was pure.
Y nos decían, porque Prabhupada era puro.
So this particular devotee, who was very influential, he was an Indian Brahmin, he was an Indian Brahmin Swami, very, very influential. He was making the point that Prabhupada is pure, he's pure devotee, and therefore this couldn't be true.
Y entonces era un Swami de India y que estaba haciendo ese punto porque decía, no, es que Prabhupada era puro, eso es incorrecto, esa cajita no estaba ahí, no debe estar ahí.
That someone could think like that doesn't surprise me.
Y si alguien puede pensar así, pues eso no me sorprende.
But that the senior devotees could not establish the purity of the pure devotee ultimately has nothing to do with such petty impurities.
Pero el detalle es que los devotos avanzados, los senior, no pudieron establecer o decir la pureza de una personalidad como Prabhupada, no puede ser juzgada por esa cosita que está ahí materialmente.
By the same philosophy, then the gopis are impure.
La misma filosofía aplica a las gopis, que eran impuras.
But the gopis are accepted as the most surrendered and the most pure of all living beings in eternity. Yet if you measure them by some material circumstances, then they are impure.
Pero es dicho que las gopis eternamente son las más entregadas y puras, pero si las juzgamos o las medimos por capacidad material, pues es impura.
So by that time I was no longer a part of ISKCON, so that was their problem, that was their argument, but I was shocked that the senior devotees could not explain to the devotees that this is a very minor thing and it has nothing to do with ultimate purity.
Entonces al final, pues yo ya no tuve que lidiar nada con eso, por eso dejé ISKCON, pero mi preocupación fue que cómo no los devotos senior o avanzados no podían explicar eso. Que la pureza de un devoto avanzado no se mide con eso.
So they took that little silver box out of the display.
Entonces quitaron la cajita de ahí.
Now how many times such maneuvers have happened in the history of religion? The inability to explain the truth is sometimes just removed. And that answered that question. It's no longer a question, right? Or it's substituted with something false. No, he didn't take snuff, he had Amul chocolate bars or something. How many times in the world, in religion and in history, the truth has been taken out and maybe something else is just put in its place and the next generation thinks, yeah, that's it.
¿Y cuántas veces no ha pasado eso a lo largo de la historia, que de la religión especialmente, que cuando algo está pasando y como no sabes explicar la verdad, pues remueves las cosas o lo reemplazas, como podría decirse, se reemplazó con una barra de chocolate de almendras, ¿no? Dice, y es así como se mueven las cosas.
So when this was all happening, Jayadev and I had some kind of like laughs together because I used to go to the store and buy the snuff for Prabhupada.
Dice, cuando estaban discutiendo entre Jayadev y Guru Maharaj eso, estaban riendo porque Guru Maharaj mismo es el que iba a comprar ese tabaco.
And Jaya, do you still have it?
I gave it to you.
Oh, I gave it to Vishnu Maharaj. You have it.
I brought it for Krishna Maharaj.
You have it upstairs. Run and get it. And now I will show you Prabhupada's last snuff box. And he preferred a English brand from London.
Entonces, bueno, aquí estaba un juego de palabras de que quién lo tiene, creo que está acá arriba ese tabaco, lo tiene Giri Maharaj, de Vishnu Maharaj. Entonces, me perdí la última parte, ¿qué fue?
Que Srila Prabhupada prefería una marca de Inglaterra, de Londres.
Okay.
Yeah, now,
Given to me in 79.
yeah. Now, I'm not accustomed to giving talks and classes to the newest comers. I'm used to talking about Krishna consciousness with people with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years experience. And I'm also known for sorting it out, you see. And I say that because but this group is, they're all devotees here, except for a couple of faces here, for many, many years, decades, born in devotee families and things like that.
Que normalmente Guru Maharaj no da pláticas a gente muy nueva. Normalmente él le gusta dar las pláticas a gente que lleva 40, 50 años, 30 años que son devotos dentro de esto. Pero la mayoría de los de aquí, muy pocas son caras nuevas, pero la mayoría hay hasta personas que han nacido en familia de devotos.
So, you know, today is the first official program of the Krsna Bhakti Ashram.
Y hoy es como el día oficial del Krsna Bhakti Ashram.
So what I mean to say is, coming here, don't expect to hear things you've heard everywhere before. Rather, you can expect to hear things of every nature that you have never heard before.
Y el venir aquí, no esperen escuchar cosas que han escuchado antes.
This was the last snuff box of Prabhupada, and they would take this contents. I don't know if there's any still in there, is there?
I don't know.
And that's probably frozen shut. We won't open it. But I'll pass this around. So Prabhupada would take this and put it in his little silver box, and this was put on the side, and that box was on his desk. So how did he take it? At 2 o'clock in the morning, he would wake up, and he would take a little of this stuff. And I tried it once. In fact, I tried some from this box. Poof! It's like sticking chili pepper up your nose, you know. And immediately you breathe and you wake up. Understand?
Que no lo va a abrir ahorita.
Don't squeeze it, it's old and rusty.
Que no hay que tirarlo, que mucho cuidado. Y que Prabhupada, lo que sea, a las 2 de la mañana, se lo ponía en la nariz. ¡Pum! Que lo intentó una vez Guru Maharaj, es como pimienta negra en tu nariz y que te pone a llorar y respiras más y entonces te despierta.
Yeah. Pishima's sister, I'll give you another example. Pishima's sister. Pishima's sister. Pishima, which means sister, her name is Bhavatarini, Prabhupada's sister.
Otro ejemplo es la hermana de Prabhupada.
Have you seen a picture of her?
¿Alguna vez han visto alguna foto de ella?
Prabhupada's sister. Very, very dear to all the devotees in the time of Prabhupada. Prabhupada's sister.
Muy querida a todos los devotos en el tiempo de Prabhupada. Es la hermana.
Her husband was non-veg. Her husband was non-vegetarian.
Su esposa no era vegetariano.
And she cooked for him.
Y cocinaba para él.
She was a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta.
Era un discípulo de Bhaktisiddhanta.
But most devotees didn't even know her name because they only cared that she was Prabhupada's sister.
Y todos sabían eso, pero no les importaba porque era la hermana de Prabhupada.
But if you were non-veg and you were cooking for him, the current status of Krishna consciousness in the world would tell you to get a divorce.
Pero si usted está cocinando para él y que no sea vegetariano, el estatus de la conciencia de Krishna le dice, no, divórciate de él.
But Prabhupada's sister's husband was non-vegetarian.
Pero su esposo de la hermana de Prabhupada no era vegetariano.
So what has been, you know, Krishna consciousness in India, Sanatana Dharma in India, Bhakti Yoga in India, it's thousands of year old tradition. In the West, it's very new, and there's a lot of fanaticism.
Todo esto del Sanatana Dharma, Bhakti Yoga, conciencia de Krishna, en India es una historia, una tradición de miles de años, ¿no? Pero aquí en el occidente es muy nuevo y por lo tanto hay mucho fanatismo.
Yeah, there's also another very interesting story. It's a little harder for people to digest, but Prabhupada told us a story how his father, when he was a little boy, would take him to meet some sadhus on the banks of the Ganges.
Que hay una historia que es un poco difícil de digerir para algunos de nosotros, que como su papá tomó a Prabhupada a las orillas del Ganges.
So he told us this story in 1976.
Nos dijo la historia en 1976.
In Mayapur.
En Mayapur.
And he said, my father would bring 3 things to give as a gift to that sadhu.
Mi padre nos iba a reunir con un sadhu y llevaba 3 regalos para dárselos.
He would bring him some orange-colored cloth.
Llevaba un trapo de naranjita,
He would bring him some mantequilla,
llevaba mantequilla
butter, and he would bring him a packet of mota,
y le llevaba una bolsita de mota.
ganja. And when Prabhupada said that, everybody just went, huh? They were shocked.
Y cuando Prabhupada dijo eso, todo el mundo se de, ay,
Because in the front of the Krishna book, it is dedicated to my father, a pure devotee, Gaur Mohan Dey.
¿Y por qué? Porque en el ¿qué libro? Bueno, en un libro, en el libro de Krishna, tiene una dedicatoria hacia su padre que es un devoto puro, así lo menciona.
So we're thinking, so immediately, Prabhupada's father, the pure devotee, is giving mota?
Entonces, el papá de Prabhupada, que se supone que es devoto puro, está dándole
Ay,
mota.
ay, ay, that's Maya.
Eso es maya.
Right? So everyone was shocked.
Entonces todos estaban choqueados.
If you have the Prabhupada folio, you can read the whole conversation. All the devotees, how shocked they were. They said, but Prabhupada, but Prabhupada, why he did it, why he did it.
Y de hecho hay un audio donde puedes escuchar todo eso y preguntándole, ¿por qué lo hiciste, Prabhupada? ¿Por qué esto y por qué aquello?
And Prabhupada said, because he wanted it.
Y solo les contestaba, pues porque él quiso.
Sadhus in India are famous for mota.
Los sadhus en India son famosos por la mota.
And then the conversation even got more interesting.
Y esa conversación se volvió más interesante.
But Prabhupada said, but my Guru Maharaj was very strict.
Y Prabhupada solía decir, mi Guru Maharaj era muy estricto.
And then it gets shocking. Then the devotee said, yes, and Bhaktivinoda, he was very strict.
Y los devotos decían, sí, y Bhaktivinoda era muy estricto.
And Prabhupada said, no, he was not very serious.
Y Prabhupada les decía, no, él no fue muy serio.
What does that mean? Yeah.
Es como aquí en México, parte de la cultura en México, también los huicholes usan el peyote, ¿no? Y es permitido como una ceremonia religiosa que ellos usan los huicholes en México, el peyote, como una cultura. Y en India también, ¿verdad? La marihuana la usan los sadhus, ¿no? Prabhupada ha dicho que es como concentración, para concentrarse. Pero como en Occidente la usan para otros fines, lo ven mal. La marihuana en este caso, ¿no? Nada más si quieres.
Here some indigenous people use the peyote.
Peyote, sacred mushroom, marijuana,
And
etc.
he's saying that also in India, the Prabhupada used to say that marijuana sometimes the sadhus use for figs concentrate, but here in this side, in the West, we are like always using for other
Recreational purposes.
como recreación.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, Lord Shiva himself, right, smoked or ate ganja. What is it?
80, I think.
Ate ganja. Anyway, that's a long story. But he said, my guru was very strict, but Bhaktivinoda was not so serious.
Entonces decía, mi guru, refiriéndose a Bhaktisiddhanta Srila Prabhupada, era muy estricto, pero Bhaktivinoda no era muy serio.
Now, understanding some of these things is just not so easy, and therefore, at the end of that conversation, which was in 1976, so that's 40-some years ago, Prabhupada said, there was 30 of us there. But he said, but don't discuss this.
Esta conversación fue hace unos 30 y tantos años, habíamos como 30 ahí, y yendo a ese punto, que es difícil de entender, les dijo, sí, lo que mencionó anteriormente, pero no discutamos eso ahorita.
And it was never discussed.
Y no fue nunca discutido en
It
ningún
was
lado.
just totally forgotten.
Y fue olvidado todo eso.
And I've mentioned it to a few people just to try and set the understanding that Krishna consciousness isn't just a fixed set of rules and regulations, and if you follow them, and if you chant 16 rounds a day, you're automatically going to make spiritual advancement. There's a yes and a no there.
Entonces ha tenido algunas pláticas y unas explicaciones con algunas personas donde no solo se trata de que si tú sigues esto y que llegas a esto y cantas tus 16 rondas y vas a obtener esto.
Just like in the system of asanas, there is what's developed. Well, you have Surya Namaskar, and then you have some progression. Like maybe you have the first 5 asanas, what everybody begins with, and this one to that one, and this one, and you just don't just try to do, and it becomes like just this is it. But that's not always true. I myself have met yogis who never followed any of that. Like codified system what we have today in order to teach people asanas and things. Well, the same thing happens in Krishna consciousness. It just gets set and everybody thinks that's it. Just like this. This is not Krishna conscious. And so they say, why do you have a beard? And I say, Ekadasi? I have many answers for that. It's Chaturmasya, it's Ekadasi, just to piss you off. Tell them that. When I'm asked, it's either I say, oh, it's Ekadasi, because you don't shave on Ekadasi.
Como en cuestiones del yoga, los asanas, ¿no? Que hasta estos tiempos ya se han creado un cierto sistema para enseñar a la gente cómo deben de ser los asanas, hablando en cuestión del yoga. Y que lo mismo en el movimiento de conciencia de Krishna, se creó como algo establecido así que debes de seguir para que pues haya como... ¿Qué?
Te funciona
sí.
El proceso.
Ajá. Entonces decía que incluso su barba, ¿no? De que esta no es permitida en la conciencia de Krishna y que le dicen, ¿por qué la barba larga? Ekadasi, porque en Ekadasi no se rasura.
And the other one is just to piss you off, just to make you.
Y el otro es
Sí, es como...
solo por molestar.
Solo por molestar.
So would it make a difference if I had short hair, long hair, shaved head, whatever? But what happened was, Sridhara Maharaj, who was our guru, when all of us left ISKCON way back in the, when was it, the early 80s, mid-80s, 1980s.
En los 80s, cuando conocimos a Sridhara Maharaj,
there was a confusion in the world, and amongst the people in general, because we looked exactly like ISKCON devotees, exactly, but we weren't.
Había una confusión, porque lucíamos como los devotos de ISKCON, pero no era.
So they asked Sridhara Maharaj, particularly the men, what the men could do, particularly the Swamis, what they could do, because they look exactly like ISKCON. People say, oh, ISKCON, you have the same neck beads, you have the same tilak, you have the same everything. And they said, well, what can we do?
Entonces le dijeron a Sridhara Maharaj, en especial a los Swamis, que es que se ven igual que los Swamis de ISKCON, o sea, se refiere al corte de pelo, a los cuentas, a todo.
Yeah. So Sridhara Maharaj said, oh, you can grow a beard or wear a turban.
Entonces Sridhara Maharaj les dijo, bueno, pues déjense crecer la barba o usen un turbante.
So if you look back at some of the old pictures of Ashram Maharaj, who's in Veracruz, and even today you'll see some of the Western devotees who are in the line of Srila Maharaj wearing a turban. Very hard to wear a turban. I spent hours. Very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Muchos devotos occidentales, pues ahorita podemos ver como allá en el Ashram Maharaj, que está en Veracruz, usan turbante y así. Para mí ha sido muy complicado decidir mejor aventarlo.
Yeah, but that's something that it used to be in India at a time. Every respectable gentleman wore a turban. Period. That's the end of the story. Every respectable gentleman in all of India 150 years ago wore a turban.
Todo caballero respetable en toda India usaba turbante.
Now it's very rare to see. Only the Sikhs, right?
A
few Swamis here and there. The regular people, they don't know. They wear baseball hats now. Truck driver hats.
Ahorita ya es muy raro ver eso, es con las cachuchas, las gorras.
But in Gaudiya Math, you can see some of the old style.
Pero en la Gaudiya Math puedes ver ese estilo viejo.
Just like I have this cape on, this thing. It's called an uttariya. It's hanging straight around my neck. Right?
Es la llamada utería que cuelga alrededor de su cuello.
If you wear one, a white one, and put it around your neck, and go to Los Angeles, the devotees will tell you, no, you can't wear that. That's a Swami's cape.
que si tú utilizas eso en color blanco y vas a Los Ángeles, uno te dice, no, eso es algo de los Swamis.
But if you just put your arm in it like this, now it's called a Prabhupada cape.
Y ahora, si te
Because
pones algo así,
this is the way he wore his uttariya.
porque su teoría Prabhupada lo usaba así, entonces
It doesn't matter which way you do it, it's a Swami cape.
no importa en qué forma la pongas, es algo de los Swamis.
But if you go to Los Angeles ISKCON, you will see so many devotees, especially the pujaris, they'll be wearing the sannyasi cape with one arm through it, like this. And if you say, oh, that's sannyasi cape, you say, no, it's not, it's a Prabhupada cape.
Y si vas a Los Ángeles, el pujari y todos ellos lo van a andar usando así.
Similarly, there's one hat that goes like this and has little strings and you tie under it. It's called a Prabhupada hat, right? They've been wearing that hat for 1,000 years before Prabhupada in India.
Hay un gorrito que se solía poner como lo describió, Srila Prabhupada, y eso ha sido usado por miles de años antes.
So when I first went to India and I went to Loi Bazaar, I saw 50 shops. They're all selling Prabhupada hats. I said, wow, man, everybody's selling Prabhupada hats, you know. And I said, do you have a Prabhupada hat? And he said, what's a Prabhupada hat?
Y cuando fue a Loi Bazaar,
That hat, that's a Prabhupada hat.
cuando fue a Loi Bazaar,
And they thought I was crazy.
por primera vez y vio ahí todas esas gorritas colgadas, dijo, oh sí, todos están vendiendo la gorrita de Prabhupada, ¿no? Dijo, ¿cuánto cuesta una gorrita de Prabhupada? ¿Qué es eso?
So I started all these weird examples by saying it's very difficult to codify the dynamic. The highest spiritual goals doesn't play by the rules, but without the rules we can't get there.
¿Por qué dice todo esto? Porque no es que puedas dar a notar o juzgar algo, una pureza espiritual, por solo siguiendo reglas y regulaciones, pero es necesario seguir ciertas reglas y regulaciones para aproximarse a algo más.
So Prabhupada said, whatever you say, you have to be able to ultimately back it up with Shastra. So someone would say, well, this has been a rather weird explanation, but what's your Shastra for what you say?
Como Prabhupada solía decir cuando alguien como que estaba diciendo algunas cosas, y inmediatamente decías, ok, suena raro, pero ¿qué dice la escritura?
So for that I turn to my learned disciple Gaudiya Maharaj and say, what's the verse? Too much attachment or too much neglect of the rules?
Oh, Atyahara Prayasascha.
Atyahara Prayasascha. Too much attachment to rules and regulation or neglecting the rules and regulation. In either case you will fall.
Mucho apego a las reglas y regulaciones o rechazarlas, de todas maneras te va a hacer caer.
So I've been emphasizing it is not, Krishna consciousness is not just a set of rules and regulation. Totally, that's it. If you do that, automatic.
Como dijo, conciencia de Krishna no es nada más como la cajita de reglas y regulaciones.
At the same time, if you allow the mind to just go and speculate, and you don't follow the basic rules of purity, and you think that you'll be able to chant some japa and then toke a little mota and everything, well, you won't go to hell for that, but it will impede your advancement for sure.
Pero de la misma forma, si no estás siguiendo unas ciertas reglas y regulaciones, y estás cantando y echándote unos toquecillos de mota y especulando demasiado, no quiere decir que te va a llevar eso al infierno, pero va a impedir tu progreso y tu avance en la vida espiritual.
There once was a time when a group of devotees from, well, I think, well, they were from England to begin with. They ended up in Hawaii. But they decided to go back to the 60s and use LSD as a stimulant for their Krishna consciousness.
Y que había unos devotos en Hawái que no hace mucho tiempo regresaron, otra vez intentaron regresar a esa época de los 60 donde utilizaban el LSD para estimularse, ¿no? En su conciencia.
Now these were disciples of Prabhupada.
Eran discípulos de Prabhupada.
And I don't want to even tell you the end fate of these people.
Y no quiero ni siquiera decirte en
How
qué
they
acabó esta gente.
destroyed themselves and even died and even were murdered.
Cómo se destruyeron ellos mismos, que han muerto o que hasta fueron asesinados.
What to speak of the shame that they brought at that time. Now people have forgotten about the shame they brought to Prabhupada because they had the name of being his disciple.
Y qué hablar, ni hablar de la pena, porque eran discípulos de Prabhupada en ese entonces.
They even went so far one day as to bring some LSD to Srila Sridhara Maharaj.
Una vez hasta le llevaron LSD a Sridhara Maharaj.
And I think there's even a video of it.
Creo que hay hasta un video de eso.
So they gave it to Srila Maharaj, put it right in his hand.
Le pusieron el LSD en la mano de Sridhara Maharaj.
Maharaj, you please try this. He was 90 years old. They're giving him some LSD, right?
Por favor, Maharaj, intente esto. Tenía 90 años, Sridhara Maharaj.
Sridhara Maharaj went like this.
Sridhara Maharaj le hizo así.
And then he said, maybe Govinda Maharaj can try it.
Y dijo, tal vez Govinda Maharaj lo intente.
And we don't know what happened to it after that.
No sabemos qué pasó después de eso.
But the fact that he went like this, right, and touched his head, people said, you see, he's respected it. And they went on with their nonsense until the leader of that group literally got his head cut off by one of the members of his own group. Literally. So there's a similar story. When Prabhupada first came to the Estados Unidos, he was in, where's the part he's in? The village, the Bowery. Worse than the village, the Bowery. Oh, the worst of humanity living down there. And this one man used to come and give Prabhupada toilet paper as an offering.
Que una vez, bueno, hay una historia parecida, pero un poquito antes, para terminar lo que dijo antes, es que la gente cuando vio que Sridhara Maharaj hizo esto, como que lo respeta y todo eso, ¿no? Entonces el líder de esas personas que le dieron el LSD a Sridhara Maharaj terminó su cabeza cortada por un mismo miembro de los que estaban ahí. Entonces, un mismo ejemplo es cuando una vez en algún lugar a Prabhupada...
Pero lo más bajo, de lo más bajo de ahí, en donde estaba Srila Prabhupada, lo más peligroso.
Sí, en un barrio pesado, como se podría decir. Estaba Prabhupada y una vez alguien le ofreció papel de baño.
People brought cakes, pies, things that obviously had eggs in them, and Prabhupada didn't say, oh no, I don't take that. He accepted whatever people gave. He accepted that. That give them some, even if someone offered him a cigarette, he may have taken it. He wouldn't smoke it, but by taking that, the person's offering is accepted. But what they've offered is impure. You see? But nowadays they go, no thank you, I don't take that. You know. Understand? But the higher devotees, they know the higher principle. What is being offered is impure. What you are trying to offer right now is impure. What we all begin with offering to Krishna is impure, but it's accepted. And then we're making progress. By that acceptance, it's reciprocal, and we improve, and our offerings become more bona fide, then they become more pure, and then ultimately they become irresistible to Krishna, the offering of his pure devotees. And this is another thing. Okay, go ahead.
Entonces, en ese entonces, a Srila Prabhupada le llevaban pasteles, pies, y obviamente tenía el huevo, el papel de baño, muchas cosas. Y Srila Prabhupada no agarraba y no, esto no, sino todo lo aceptaba. Incluso decía, si le iban a dar un cigarro, lo iba a aceptar con mucho gusto, no lo iba a fumar. Pero lo principal es que el devoto elevado lo que tiene es que tiene la concepción elevada de pureza y va a aceptar, y el proceso de conciencia de Krishna es así, que das y recibes, y conforme se vaya mejorando todo eso, la ofrenda va a ser mejorada y mejorada hasta el punto donde el devoto puro hace que sea irresistible para Krishna lo que le ofrenda.
Now I forgot what I wanted to say next.
Sorry,
What I wanted to say next. I forgot. I had a pain in my neck. Distracted me. All right, so where were we?
You were saying that when the offering becomes pure, it becomes irresistible to Krishna.
Yes, and a pure devotee. Two things. Pure devotee, that's called Suddha Bhakta.
Hay dos cosas. El devoto puro que se le llama Suddha Bhakta.
Suddha Bhakta has Krishna Prema, love of God.
Ese Suddha Bhakta tiene el amor a Dios, Krishna Prema.
Now, what will you think if I tell you that's wrong?
¿Y qué hay si te digo que eso está equivocado?
What if I tell you, after a lifetime of being a pure devotee, then you get love of God?
¿Qué hay si te digo después de una vida de dedicación, obtienes amor por Dios?
By practicing pure devotion, by being a pure devotee, then you progress through the stages up to love of God. It is not all in one. Voila, pure devotee, voila, love of God. It is not that way.
No es como haces algo inmediatamente viene, sino que es haces esto y sigue el progreso y sigue hasta llegar a esa meta.
In 1972, there was a controversy. Seems like there's always controversy in the Hare Krishna movement, of one type or another.
En 1972 había una controversia, parece que siempre ha habido
In
controversia.
1972, there was a controversy about a particular devotee from Hawaii.
Había una controversia sobre un devoto en particular de Hawái,
He was a disciple of Prabhupada.
discípulo de Prabhupada.
His name was Siddhaswarupananda Goswami.
Su nombre es ese,
Siddhaswarupananda Goswami.
Siddha Swarup
Now,
Ananda Goswami.
I joined the movement with this particular person
Yo me integré al movimiento con esta persona
in 1970.
en 1970.
So in 1972, in Hawaii, there generated this argument that Prabhupada was a pure devotee, and also Siddhaswarup Ananda Goswami, he was also a pure devotee.
Y entonces en Hawái en ese momento estaba la discusión de que Prabhupada era un devoto puro y que también Siddha Swarup era también un devoto puro.
So this developed into a social complexity and a controversy and all kind of stuff and some privileges or whatever. There was this statement developed into an issue.
Ese enunciado se llevó a un problema en sí.
So Prabhupada wrote a rather extensive letter at that time, and you can see that letter, it's on the archives. And he said, why do you say only Siddha Swarup is a pure devotee? All my disciples are pure devotees.
Y que entonces Prabhupada extensivamente desglosó una carta que después la podemos ver, pero dice, ¿por qué dicen que Siddha Swarup es el devoto puro? Todos mis discípulos son devotos puros.
And then he went on to say, if you want to say only Siddha Swarup is a pure devotee and not others, this will ruin everything.
Si dices que solo Siddha Swarup es un devoto puro y los demás no, entonces todo esto se va a ir a la ruina.
Now that letter was posted on the wall in the New York temple.
En el templo de Nueva York
on the board, you know.
se puso en un marco esa carta.
And I remember standing there reading it with 4 or 5 other devotees, and as we read it, we just kind of look at each other like, because Prabhupada is saying, all of us, all of his disciples are pure devotees, and we're like, what does that mean?
Entonces cuando lo estaba viendo eso en el marco, estaba con otros 4 hermanos y ahí en la carta dice, todos los discípulos de Prabhupada son devotos puros, entonces se voltearon a ver como que, ¿qué se refiere con esto?
So I fanatically, from the very beginning, had explicit faith or belief, neophyte as it may have been, in anything Prabhupada said.
Como en el principio era como una creencia, una fe tremenda en todo lo que dijera Prabhupada, un tanto fanática.
But I also had an ability from an early age in Krishna consciousness to connect the dots.
Pero también tengo una habilidad como para hacer que los puntos se conecten.
So we had a conversation, the 4 or 5 of us, how can that be? And one devotee saying, I'm not a pure devotee, the other saying, I'm not a pure devotee. And I said, well, you know, actually it must be. And how it must be is like this.
Entonces empezó la conversación de que, pero es que yo no soy un devoto puro, no, pues yo tampoco. Y entonces Guru Maharaj les dijo, debe de ser.
So I gave an example. What do you call a person? I'll ask Jack. Jack, what do you call a person who works in a coal mine?
Coal miner.
Coal miner. What do you call a person who follows the process of pure devotion? A pure devotee.
Sí.
One day in India, this Hindu came to our ashram. Explain that.
Que el ejemplo es de que le pregunta a Jack, ¿cómo le llamas a una persona que trabaja, a un minero, a una persona que trabaja en una mina, minero?
Yeah.
Y entonces, ¿cómo le llamas a una persona que está practicando el proceso de devoción pura? Pues devoto puro.
So one day this Hindu, he was a scholar, he came to our ashram, not that big scholar, but a medium range scholar. He came to the ashram. We had hundreds of tulsi plants, hundreds, right? And he walks by the tulsi plant, and he grabs the tulsi and goes, and strips off about 10 leaves and pops them in his mouth.
Como una vez en el ashram de Guru Maharaj llegó un erudito de gran calibre, mediana, digamos, pero tenían muchas tulasis. Y entonces vio una de las tulasis y se agarró y arrancó todas las hojitas de una rama y se las echó a la boca.
Because in Ayurveda, Tulsi is a medicine. Tulsi is highly recommended for health. In India, they put Tulsi in soap. They put Tulsi in teas. All kind of things. You know, here you have to read, does it have any meat, fish, or eggs in it? In India, we look, does it have any Tulsi in it?
Okay.
Because we don't eat Tulsi. We don't take Tulsi as medicine, even it's in the Ayurveda.
Porque allá en la medicina ayurvédica, Tulsi se toma como algo medicinal, se le pone a los tés, a los jabones, etc. Aquí, por ejemplo, tenemos que ver si hay carne y eso. Allá tenemos que ver si los ingredientes no tienen Tulsi.
So I said, sir, please don't take the Tulsi in this ashram. Only we offer Tulsi to Krishna.
Sí, entonces le dijo, no tomes la Tulsi como tal, así, porque no comemos la tulasi, solo se le ofrece a Krishna.
Then he said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were pure devotees.
Entonces él dijo, lo siento, yo no sabía que eran devotos puros.
So even a Hindu could understand that those who follow those higher principles, they are pure devotees.
Entonces ese hindú que entendió que aquellos que siguen principios elevados también son devotos puros.
Now the question comes about prema. Well, when does prema come to the pure devotees?
Entonces estamos hablando, vamos a lo que es el Krishna Prema, que es de donde vienen esos devotos puros.
There is a process of purification, and each one of those is considered a stage of prema until you reach bhava and then full-fledged love of God.
Y todo eso es como etapas que tiene toque de prema, pero todas esas etapas te van llevando a donde ya es una completa prema, que es el amor por Dios.
Bhakti begins with the do shraddha, then sadhu sangha, then bhajana kriya. Now, the beginning is we have some faith and we come through the door where bhakti is being discussed. Then sadhu sangha, we associate with devotees and we hear more about Krishna. Then comes the stage of bhajana kriya, and that is the stage where initiation comes and specific instruction and service comes to a devotee. At that point, he is considered or she is considered a pure devotee. In the third step of the process, one becomes a pure devotee. If one has a bona fide spiritual master and if one follows the instruction and follows the teaching, then their life begins as a pure devotee.
Entonces, uno primero llega a la puerta con una fe que se le llama Sridhara. Después, uno quiere escuchar más de los sadhus, se le llama sadhu sangha y asociación, y se está escuchando y aprendiendo más. Después te llega un tercer paso, que es el de bhajana kriya, que es donde se empieza una práctica bajo un maestro fidedigno, y a partir de ese tercer paso se le considera que son devotos puros, siempre y cuando esté respaldado por un maestro espiritual fidedigno.
The next step is the first positive step towards love of God. It's called anartha nivritti.
Después, el siguiente paso se le llama anartha nivritti.
Anartha nivritti means the gradual purification of so many things which are our contamination, our false ego, our material desires, lust, anger, greed. Oh man, you can't imagine how angry a person I was when I was 23 years old. I used to throw plates across the room, throw pots around the kitchen. Anger was there.
Dice,
now everybody get up and leave. I didn't murder anybody. But I threw some pots, yeah.
Dice que cuando se llega a ese anartha nivritti, es el proceso de purificación, de quitar todas esas cosas indeseables que uno tiene, ¿no? Dice, tanto así que no pueden imaginar cuando yo tenía 23 años y me llegaba esa ira tan fuerte que yo empezaba a aventar platos por donde sea.
Okay, Gary,
Dice, todos van a salir corriendo, ¿no?
Nishta. Okay, next is Nishta. Nishta means you are absolutely fixed now. It's like, I'm not going back. I'm going forward. Hell or high water. You're not going to convince me that Krishna is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any of the things that I've accepted, fixed. It's called Nishta. From this point, no other thing will pull you down except aparad.
El siguiente paso se le llama nishta, que es donde estás enfocado, ya nada te hace titubear, ya no puedes voltear atrás, ya todo lo que digas, aunque digas que Krishna no es Dios, ya estás en algo bien situado. Lo único que te puede jalar es cuando cometes ofensas, aparad.
When we have that fixed determination, that faith, then comes ruchi. Ruchi means we start to taste what this is really all about.
Entonces después, cuando ya hay una determinación fijada, enfocada, se pasa al siguiente etapa, que es ruchi, es donde ya se empieza a saborear.
Now this is the beginning of a danger zone. Your friends, your relatives, your family, they think you've gone a little loco at this point, because you're tasting the nectar, which leads to the next stage of extreme attachment.
Y tal vez en este punto es un poco medio locochón, porque tus parientes, tu familia va a pensar que estás como algo loco. Entonces eso te lleva al siguiente paso, donde ya hay un apego extremo.
Then people see that as rather extreme. It's like, you people can't live without chanting Hare Krishna? Nope, we cannot live without chanting Hare Krishna. It's as simple as that. We can't live. It is our life force. Because we're tasting that, and it is connecting us to eternity, to the lotus feet of Krishna. And we're not about to give it up.
Y alguien podría decir, bueno, hagan ustedes, gente, que no pueden vivir sin cantar Hare Krishna. No, la respuesta es no, porque es algo que nos da vida, es algo que nos mantiene conectados hacia una eternidad.
Did I mention that attachment is called a shakti? No.
Yes.
A shakti.
Ese apego extremo que decía antes se le llama ashakti.
Is there one more?
After that is bhava.
Then bhava. Bhava is the rising sun on the horizon of prema.
Y el siguiente estado es bhava, que es como por ejemplo ya cuando el sol está saliendo y está tocando ya lo que es prema.
You can look at the sun rise, but once the sun gets in the sky, you can't see it directly because then it's full on.
Cuando está saliendo el sol a penitas, puedes ver, ¿no? ¿Puedes ver?
No puedes.
No,
Sí,
sí puedes verlo,
pero
ya cuando sale todo, es imposible poder ver el sol así directo, ¿no?
And in the stage of bhava, the particular type of relationship, love is divided into relationships. Like you have love for your family, you have love for your children, you have love for your spouse, you have love for your friends, you may have love for your country. There's different types of love. All love is not the same. There's different gradations. So in the spiritual world, there are also different types of love in friendship, parental, different types of that's called rasas. Different types of love begin to manifest, but are only fully manifest in prema.
Que hay muchos tipos de amor, como lo podemos ver aquí en el mundo material, ¿no? A los amigos, a la esposa, al amigo, etc. Y en el mundo espiritual también existen esas categorías, pero eso solo se da hasta que entras a un estado del prema.
Now, in the modern times, I say modern times, I mean in the last 30 and so years, devotees all over the world, some exposed properly, some exposed improperly, but pretty much there was a massive exposure to the higher concepts of Krishna consciousness, which include rasa.
Que en estos tiempos modernos, se le puede llamar así, muchos explican apropiadamente y otros de forma inapropiada, pero todos están tratando como de exponer la cuestión del rasa.
But in most cases, what we've seen over the years is that exposure for most devotees was not, we use the word digested properly, it was not understood properly, and it led to various types of deviations and fall downs. The higher thing leading you to deviation and fall down.
Entonces lo que pasa es que no es entendible ni digerible. Entonces, ¿a qué nos conlleva esto? Que ese entendimiento elevado nos va a llevar a desviaciones tremendas o a caídas.
In the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda, Prabhupada, our Prabhupada, Sridhara Maharaj, Puri Maharaj, and all bona fide disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, The higher position, the highest goal, is adored and worshipped, but we are concerned with a lower platform of service.
Que todos los guardianes los discípulos fidedignos de Bhaktisiddhanta siempre decían que hay una meta muy elevada, pero que siempre, ¿cómo fue este último punto de Yelena? Mantenemos desde nuestro punto más bajo, nos mantenemos.
Y viendo arriba.
Viendo hacia arriba a esa meta.
If you read me something about Rasa, Raga, Nuga, Bhakti, or anything, and I wish, if I want to listen to it, and probably I won't unless it's by one of my acharyas, my gurus, but in any case, I can tell you by listening to it whether it's right or wrong, although I've never heard the topic before.
Que tal vez si alguien quiere hablar algo o escuchar, si quiere escuchar algo sobre algo elevado, que a menos que alguien de sus guardianes de Guru Maharaj le diga que lo haga, lo haría, pero que muchas veces solo por escuchar se puedes dar cuenta si es correcto o incorrecto.
Aunque no lo haya leído.
Aunque no lo haya leído.
Now this little machine over here has been focused on me for 20 and 30 years, and you will never find a recording anywhere where I'm going into any of the greater details of the higher rasas, particularly the Madhurya rasa.
Que esta maquinita, esta cámara ha estado persiguiéndome por 20, 30 años, pero en todas ellas, si vas a ver esas lecturas que ha dado, nunca va a estar hablando sobre cosas elevadas, especialmente del Madhurya rasa.
We have over 1,600 hours of Prabhupada's recordings, and you cannot find any of them who go there. We have over 1,000 hours of Srila Sridhara Maharaj. You cannot find anything other than the general identification of that world. We have not thousands, but 100, 800 hours of Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, and you will not find any of them going there.
En todas las horas de grabación que están con Srila Prabhupada, Srila Sridhara Maharaj, Srila Puri Maharaj, en todas esas horas de grabación, ya sea en video o en audio, no se van a encontrar nada de lo que dice estar hablando de cosas elevadas.
There's a saying in this world, big men don't talk much. Right?
¿Qué es eso?
The guys with a lot of talk got no punch. It's a saying, big men don't talk, they act.
Sí, que hay un enunciado que dice, los hombres grandes calladitos no hablan, ¿no? Ellos actúan.
But what happens in this modern sense is you'll find, 28-year-old guys running around, 21-year-old kids running around thinking, or teenagers even, running around thinking that they are so qualified to talk about the love affairs of Radha and Krishna known as Madhurya Rasa, and other, even beyond that. It's appalling.
Pero ¿qué ha pasado ahorita que ya está hay gente de 30 años, o más chicos, hasta jovencitos, que se sienten cualificados para hablar cosas elevadas acerca de Madhurya Rasa, incluso más allá de eso?
There's a sign in that world. It says, do not enter.
Hay un señalamiento en ese mundo. No eres permitido entrar.
If you disregard that, then the next sign says, welcome to Disneyland.
Si desobedeces eso, te aparece el símbolo de bienvenido a Disneyland.
And the fine print says, the fool's paradise.
Y dice, el paraíso de los tontos.
It's not that like, no, go back, we said don't enter. No, go back, we said don't enter. When you reject the guardianship of the higher Vaishnavas, then you are consumed by Maya and you live in the bliss of a fool's paradise.
Entonces cuando uno desobedece lo que nos dicen los guardianes y cruzamos esa línea, somos consumidos por Maya.
So, a confusion arises. The Goswamis, they wrote many literatures in which they detail much of the higher Leela of Krishna, Radha and Krishna.
Los Goswamis, ellos escribieron detalles así muy íntimos de Radha Krishna.
So the question is, well then who, they wrote the books, and obviously they wrote them for somebody, and that's us. So we're reading and talking about all these things.
Entonces uno puede decir, pues si ya están escritas esas cosas, ¿para quién las escribieron? Pues para nosotros, hay que empezar a leerlas.
Now, most of us, I mean, who are familiar more with the names and things, would agree that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had some pretty elevated disciples.
Quien está relacionado todos estos nombres en lo que se está hablando, obviamente considera que los discípulos de Bhaktisiddhanta eran muy elevados.
However, for those highly elevated disciples, like Prabhupada, Sridhara Maharaj, and others, Keshav Maharaj, Madhav Maharaj, there's a list. There's not just Prabhupada. This is a very big misunderstanding that Bhaktisiddhanta had one great disciple. That's not anywhere near accurate. That he was the biggest preacher? Yes. But that he was the only great devotee? No, that's wrong. Huh? But for those elevated souls, like Srila Sridhar Maharaj, like Prabhupada, there is a list of prohibited books that are not for them to read.
Entonces, todos estos discípulos de Bhaktisiddhanta eran muy elevados. Y esto nos lleva a un tema, dice Guru Maharaj, que Prabhupada era el único elevado de todos los discípulos. Dice, no, eso no es correcto. Que fue el mayor predicador, sí, pero elevados hay muchos de los discípulos de Bhaktisiddhanta. Y que había una lista para todos estos discípulos elevados, una lista de qué no deberían de leer.
Let me give you an example. If there is a beautiful woman and you're courting her, you know, remember the old style, sing outside the window, sing some songs, right? And you write a poetry about her beauty.
Si vemos como en los tiempos viejos alguien en una ventana tocando algo muy bella y uno empieza a escribir una poesía.
I give you the question, are you writing that poetry to please this beautiful woman, or are you writing it to impress the neighbors? Who are you writing that for?
Y la pregunta es, ¿esa poesía que estás escribiendo es para impresionar a esa señorita o para impresionar a los vecinos?
When you write a Vyasa Puja offering for your guru, are you writing that to praise your guru and not really impress your guru, but to glorify your guru? Or are you writing that to impress the other guy?
Por ejemplo, igual cuando escribes en tu Vyasa Puja, que es una ofrenda maestro espiritual, ¿es para impresionar a tu maestro o también para impresionar al que está al lado tuyo?
It should be you are writing it to glorify your guru. You are writing that for the pleasure of the beautiful woman that you're courting. And similarly, these higher topic books, they are meant for the people who they are writing about, Radha and Krishna. They are written for their pleasure, not our pleasure. And there's the problem. We take pleasure in everything in this world. We take pleasure in kirtan. We take pleasure in prasadam. We even take pleasure in sadhu sangha. But there's a defect in pleasure. So certain things are just set off limits. Don't go there. Don't bring your pleasure-seeking potency to that place. When you're ready, they'll grab you and pull you in. You go there prematurely, they shut the door and stamp your visa, get out. And you can't get back.
Entonces debería de ser así. Lo que estamos haciendo con los ejemplos que citó es para complacer a la señorita hermosa que está cantando. Igual cuando estás escribiendo la ofrenda es para complacer al guru. Y en esto que está hablando en este tema es que esos libros son escritos para complacer a Radha y Krishna. Y no vamos a llegar ahí hasta que ese plano, cuando vea que estás listo, ¡pum!, te va a tomar. Pero si no obedecemos eso, vamos a cruzar eso, se nos va a cerrar la puerta, nos van a dar la vuelta y nos van a mandar con nuestra visa de regreso.
There's a verse, Gary, you can give me the verse. One who has complete faith in the words of the Shastra and the spiritual master, to that such person, all truths are revealed. What is that? Yasya Devi Parabhaktir Yata Devi Tataguru. Who has implicit faith in the order of the spiritual master and the words of the Shastra. To such persons, all truths are revealed.
Quien tiene fe completa en el maestro espiritual y en las palabras del Shastra, que es la escritura, todo es revelado.
In the beginning, in the 1960s, 70s, Prabhupada wrote his books and he spoke about sahajyas.
En el principio, a finales de los 60s y principios de los 70s, escribió mucho contra los sahayas.
He also spoke about hogs and dogs that eat stool.
Habló de los perros y hogs. ¿Qué es hogs?
Big puercos.
Los puercos.
That eat caca.
Que comen.
And you're sitting in San Francisco and you're thinking, perros eat caca? What kind of perro eats caca? Right? Then you went to India, perros eat caca.
Si estás sentado en San Francisco, estás leyendo de un perro come caca, y vas a la India y ves que los perros comen caca.
Yeah. So similarly, Sahaja is like, Sahaja? 1970, 1960, Sahaja? What's a Sahaja? Now in the West, there are plenty of Sahajas.
Y en esa época, en los 60, 70, veías la palabra Sahaja y, no, ¿qué es eso? Y ahorita en el occidente está lleno de Sahayas, imitacionistas.
Even some of Prabhupada's own disciples have become Sahajas.
Incluso discípulos de Srila Prabhupada.
Sahaja basically means imitator.
Sahaya significa imitador.
Sridhara Maharaj used to say, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't go too far ahead of yourself.
Y Sridhara Maharaj solía decir, no vayas más allá de ti mismo.
Don't intrude in the higher world.
No te introduzcas en la verdad elevada.
Work here and try to qualify yourself.
Trabaja aquí y trata de cualificarte.
The all-seeing eye is there.
Sí, todos los ojos están ahí.
And when you are ready for that plane of existence,
y cuando estás listo para ese plano de existencia,
you will enter there without any extra endeavor.
Vas a poder entrar ahí fácilmente.
Everything automatic.
Todo automáticamente.
Even the ability to talk a language.
Incluso con la habilidad de
you
hablar
don't
un
have to
lenguaje.
study it.
Ni siquiera lo tienes que estudiar.
What is that language? Sanskrit? Spanish? English? Russian? German? Portuguese? What did you say? Swahili? What language? Brajabas.
¿Qué idioma es el que está allá en ese plano?
The language of Krishna in eternity. Vaikuntha, Sanskrit. Goloka, Vrindavan, Brajabas it's called.
En Goloka, Vrindavan, Brajabas, en Vaikuntha, sánscrito.
And you will automatically speak that language. Everything automatic. That is called Yogamaya.
Y en automático vas a hablar ese lenguaje.
You cannot
a través de
really
Yogamaya.
practice that here. You cannot imitate that here.
No puedes practicarlo aquí, no puedes imitarlo.
The beginning is rules and regulations, but the taste is missing, or it's very small.
Al principio son reglas y regulaciones, pero el sabor está faltando o hay muy poquitito.
The higher realm of bhakti in this life means same process continues, but the taste is higher.
Y el sabor elevado es seguir el mismo proceso de bhakti, pero se obtiene un sabor más elevado.
For example, I'll give you, in India there are many sadhus who chant 100 rounds a day, 64 minimum, 100 rounds japa a day, and they imagine in their mind that they're doing service to Radha and Krishna.
Como hay sadhus en India que están cantando sus 100 rondas al día y están imaginando en su mente que están haciendo servicio.
Meanwhile, the deity in the temple is totally neglected.
Tanto así que luego la deidad que se tiene en el templo hasta está como abandonada.
Don't sit and chant and think, oh, I'm making flower garland for Krishna. Get off your lazy back and make a flower garland for Krishna. Here, in this world, make a flower garland for Krishna.
No te sientes y empezar a cantar e imaginar que estás haciendo una guirnalda para Krishna. Levanta ese traserote y ponte a hacerlo en este mundo, tiene que ser así.
Serving Krishna here, cooking in the kitchen, serving, making flower garlands, doing things. Same thing's going on in eternity. So don't just sit and think on doing it. Do it now.
En el mundo espiritual sí se están haciendo las mismas cosas, ofreciendo flores, guirnaldas y todo. No pienses que nada más con sentarte e imaginar y ya es todo. Párate y hazlo.
We used to give this example. What does Hare Krishna mantra mean? What does it mean?
Solía dar este ejemplo de que ¿qué significa eso del mantra Hare Krishna?
Or what is the mood?
¿O cuál es el modo?
So they used to always teach us and give this example that the mood means, oh Lord Krishna, please engage me in your service.
El modo es, oh Señor Krishna, por favor, siempre motívame y envuélveme en tu servicio.
So they used to give some little story. There's a devotee, he's sitting here in the little temple room, he's chanting, and he's, oh Lord Krishna, please engage me in your service. He's chanting Hare Krishna mantra, right?
Entonces hay un ejemplo de que estaba un joven cantando el Mahamantra.
Then someone comes, Devaki comes from the kitchen and says, Prabhu, can you help wash pots?
Y entonces Devaki viene de la cocina y le dice, Prabhu, por favor, ¿puedes lavar las ollas?
No, I'm chanting.
Le va a decir, no, estoy cantando.
You get the spirit of the thing? One should not refuse service.
Uno no debe de refutar el servicio.
Service is oftentimes taken for granted, like it's just everywhere. It's not everywhere. Right? It is not. Service is hard to get, right?
El servicio es difícil de conseguirlo, no es que esté donde sea el servicio.
You can create some service in your home, some simple offering, you can create something.
Puedes crear algún servicio, hacer tu ofrenda y todo, pero
you understand it. No, that's not the same as when I was in the temple serving the big deities and the devote. There was some quality and quantity of difference.
Sí, no es lo mismo que cuando estás en el templo, es no la misma calidad e incluso la cantidad.
For example, in the house, the wife says to the husband, what would you like for prasad tonight? You like enchiladas, you like quesadillas, you like kind of what? Tamales, see. What do you like? Then she prepares that and offers to Krishna. Okay? But you remember when you lived in the temple, you didn't go to the kitchen and go, oh, you know, today I think I want khichdi, I want tamales. No, everything was cooked for Krishna, and we just took the prasad like servants. The servants don't go, well, you know, I think I'll have a little pie or whatever. No way. So there's a difference in house prasadam and temple prasadam, etc., etc.
Entonces es un ejemplo de que cómo se categorizan las cosas, como en la casa, ¿no? Normalmente la esposa le pregunta al esposo, ¿qué quieres hoy de comer? Y después haces la ofrenda, ¿no? Pero en el templo es diferente, es todo se le ofrenda a Krishna y cómo tomamos la prasada nosotros, ¿no?
In some cases today in the world, I would say that the prasad in the house is better than the prasad in the temple.
En algunos casos en el mundo, algunas veces la prasada en la casa es mejor que algunas veces en el templo.
I'll give you one example in the Chicago, not Chicago, what was that? Not Chicago.
Heidelberg.
Boston.
Oh.
Un ejemplo en Boston.
There was a big yajna, big fire sacrifice and all this
Había
stuff.
un gran yagya, un sacrificio de fuego.
And after that, of course, there was prasad.
Después de eso es prasada.
But at the end of that ceremony, they took a deity made of clay and paper of Lord Narasingha with bombas inside
¿Cohetes?
and put it in the fire. And Lord Narasingha then went poof, 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 poof. And everybody shouted, Haribo! And then everybody took prasad. I'm like, no thank you. No thank you. That was in a temple. In one of the oldest ISKCON temples in the world, Boston. I think it's the second temple.
Que estaba en uno de los templos más viejos de Boston y que estaban haciendo el sacrificio de fuego y al final, antes de tomar prasada, llega una deidad de Narasingha, el señor Narasingha, que era de papel con barro y adentro tenía cohetes. Y entonces cuando lo avientan al fuego, pues obvio empieza a explotar en pedazos y todos, ¡Haribol! Entonces todos a tomar prasada y dijo Guru Maharaj, no, gracias.
But some of them may say, oh, you're not taking prasadam. It's like, no, I'm not taking
Y
prasadam.
alguien podría decir, ¿no vas a tomar prasada? No, no estoy tomándolo.
I'll tell you another thing. Those of you who have lived in a temple before have seen Guru Puja, right? Guru Puja. I saw once a Guru Puja in Mayapur.
Una vez, está hablando del Guru Puja, que una vez vi un Guru Puja en Mayapur,
At the time of Gaur Purnima,
en el tiempo del Gaur
there were
Purnima.
1,000 devotees in that temple room.
Había miles de discípulos de devotos en ese templo.
And two swamis in the middle of the kirtan imitated a bullfight.
Y dos swamis en ese momento del kirtan imitando una corrida de toros.
One swami put his hands like this and would run around the kirtan like a bull.
Uno de los swamis haciéndose pasar como el toro.
The other swami took his uttariya like a matador. Ole! And the other, woo! And after doing this 4 or 5 times,
Y el otro el torero y el toro. Y después de unas 4 o 5 veces que hicieron eso,
after doing this 4 or 5 times, the one swami took his danda and stabbed the bull, who then fell on the floor. In front of Prabhupada, in Mayapur, in a kirtan, and you ask me why I left ISKCON.
Y entonces cuando estaba simulando la corrida de toros, uno de los otros swamis toma su danda y simula como si matara al toro clavándosela aquí y se tira. Y si me preguntan, ¿por qué dejé ISKCON?
In front of Prabhupada, in Mayapur,
Frente de
an
Prabhupada
imitation
en Mayapur.
bullfight, and killing the bull.
Matando al toro, imitando la corrida de toros.
And someone asked me, why you left ISKCON?
Y si alguien me pregunta, ¿por qué dejaste ISKCON?
Because I have some small bit of proper something.
Porque yo tengo un poquito de algo apropiado.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And there's things that have happened, and that's the comical ones. Then there are the murders, and then there's the child abuse, and on and on and on and on. And then the question is Krishna there? Is Prabhupada there? Is that prasadam? I'm not going to risk it.
Entonces la cuestión es aquí que eso es algo poquito lo que está diciendo, pero ha habido abusos, ha habido asesinatos. Entonces lleva a la otra pregunta, ¿está Prabhupada ahí? ¿Está Krishna ahí? Dice, yo no voy a tomar el riesgo. ¿Vale?
So anyway, to get back on track, deviation, one should follow very, very closely. Deviation, if you have two lines here and you divide them, well, at this point they're only one pulgata, right? But if we take that and keep walking, pretty soon the 2 points can't even see each other anymore.
Aquí hay un punto muy importante que dice que viene la desviación si no sigues apropiadamente las cosas. Cuando uno se desvía puede ver a una pulgada de distancia, pero llega un momento donde es más largo el camino y ni siquiera puedes ver al otro lado ya.
So in the beginning, these little deviations that were happening all around the world, they seemed very small.
Al principio se veían muy pequeñas esas desviaciones.
But now that more than 40 years has passed,
Pero ya son más de 40 años que ha pasado eso.
there are big gaps, big gaps.
¿Qué significa gaps?
Huecos.
Hay unos huecos grandes ahí.
So anyway, today is the, grand opening of the Krsna Bhakti Ashram in Guanajuato. And this is our, actually, we're not about a lot of canvassing to the public.
Hoy es la gran inauguración de Krsna Bhakti Ashram y no es como abrir totalmente las puertas al público.
At least not in the old-fashioned ways.
No en las formas de moda que se están tomando como ahorita, ¿no?
Like every once in a while, I'm very happy to see the boys, the brahmacharis, come in here from ISKCON wearing robes and everything, and their dhotis, and selling books and everything, Spanish, Prabhupada's books and everything. It's like, that's very, very nice.
Me gusta mucho y me da felicidad el ver a los brahmacharis distribuyendo libros y que están con todo en eso.
But there are so many neglected ways in which Krishna consciousness can be spread to the public.
Pero hay muchas formas también de cómo la conciencia de Krishna se puede expandir hacia las personas.
But make no mistake about it, we have books. We have many books.
No hay que ser un...
We have many books?
Sí, tenemos muchos libros.
We have books of Prabhupada, we have books of Srila Maharaj, we have books of Srila Puri Maharaj, etc.
De Srila Maharaj, de Sridhara Maharaj, de Prabhupada.
We publish a lot of books, actually.
Hemos publicado muchos
And we
libros.
distribute. Most of the books that we have are meant for devotees.
Y tenemos algunos de los libros que se distribuyen para los devotos.
You know who buys 99% of our books over the
¿Ustedes
last
saben
30 years?
quién ha comprado desde hace 30 años nuestros libros?
Many of them are on the shelf over there, at least one copy in English. We sell all our books to ISKCON.
Dice, todos los libros que tenemos allá ahorita en nuestra librería,
Every
la mayoría se le
GBC and
vende a
leader in
ISKCON,
ISKCON reads our
a
book.
los GBC.
The newest one was Prabhupada Vijay.
El nuevo es el Prabhupada Vijay.
Get one copy of Prabhupada Vijay, because some people don't know what they're talking about. And there are many books. But here in this little ashram, we're not focusing so much on book distribution.
En este pequeño ashram nuestro enfoque no es el de distribución de libros.
Because, you can show that to them. Because, of course, it's in English, but lo siento.
It's coming soon.
It's coming soon in Spanish. Yeah. And, but we are, how to explain this? We're putting our focus into the digital realm, into video.
Y aquí se le pone más énfasis ahorita en este ashram a la cuestión de publicación de videos.
We are working towards launching a Spanish YouTube channel.
Estamos trabajando ahorita en lo que es un canal de YouTube en español.
Actually, more than one.
De hecho, más que uno.
One that covers Krishna consciousness directly.
Uno que cubre todo lo que es la conciencia de Krishna directamente.
And the other that covers many of the interesting topics that people are waking up to in the world in general, which are tending to change people's worldview.
Y otro canal donde va a ser más bien a las personas que están como despertando y están alertas de lo que pasa en el mundo, a darles una visión más amplia de lo que pasa.
Historical, environmental,
del ambiente, histórico,
health even.
De la salud.
Many of the latest revelations which are waking up people's way of thinking.
Muchas de las últimas revelaciones que nos están haciendo como cambiar nuestra forma de pensar.
What we're not doing here is just simply eating and sleeping.
Lo que no vamos a hacer aquí es solamente comer y dormir.
We're busy in research, we're busy in translation, we're
Ocupados
busy
en
in film, video making.
Estaremos ocupados en videos, en búsquedas, en investigaciones.
We have 2 videos that we hope to submit to next year's Guanajuato Film Festival.
Tenemos ya 2 filmaciones que son documentales que se piensan meter al Festival de Guanajuato, de documentales el siguiente año.
They're older documentaries that we've already made, but we're putting a new Spanish.
Ya están hechos, de hecho, esos documentales, pero se les va a poner el español.
Yeah. And we wanted to hold every Wednesday a such program for a couple hours. Some kirtan, some discussion on different points of the philosophy, points of the history, and such things as that. We're no one's enemy, everyone's friend, but we cannot deviate from what we know to be the truth, either philosophically or historically.
Que también está, los miércoles van a ser para programas y pues para tener clases como ahorita de 2 horas, para tomar prasada, para tener algunas discusiones. Lo que sí es que no se nos va a permitir desviarnos, ni ¿qué otra cosa dijo?
No somos los enemigos de nadie,
sí.
Pero no vamos a desviar de lo que sabemos.
Exacto.
So, as Srila Maharaj said, we don't go anywhere to disturb anyone.
Sridhara Maharaja solía decir, no vamos a cualquier lado a disturbar a alguien.
But if you come here, be prepared to hear it as it is.
Pero si vienes aquí, estate preparado para escuchar lo que es.
Understand? Now, I'll just point to one thing, and I'm not trying to write my own name in big letters, but what I told you this morning about pure devotee and love of God, that they're not automatically one thing that happens simultaneously.
Pero esto que he estado hablando sobre el devoto puro y amor puro es algo que va atado, que ves en lo mismo.
Now that is a fact, and that is a very important fact.
Eso es un hecho, ese es un punto muy
Because
importante.
if you take the reading around the world, well, in the Western world, the Hare Krishna movement, there was only one pure devotee, that was Prabhupada, especially if you talk to a Ritvik. We didn't even get into the Ritviks, but if you talk to a Ritvik, only pure devotee was Prabhupada.
Y para el mundo occidental el único devoto puro fue Prabhupada, especialmente si estás hablando con un Ritvik.
I always ask him the question, then why in the world would you want to follow his teachings? Because he had 5,000 disciples, and since then there have been hundreds of thousands of people, but none of them have ever succeeded in the goal, so what the heck? What, do you think you're better than everybody else? Or, for example, if there's a university and everybody that goes to it never gets a job, right? Well, why would you want to go there? Everybody goes to that school, but nobody gets a job. Who in their right mind would want to go to that school? Right?
Dice que si el movimiento de Srila Prabhupada, que creó miles de discípulos, y creer que nada más Prabhupada fue el devoto puro, entonces, ¿qué pasó? ¿Qué está mal o qué estuvo mal para que no sea progresivo? Y pone el ejemplo de, si vas a la universidad y te preparas mucho, pero para prepararte para que nunca obtengas un trabajo, entonces ¿para qué te metes a la universidad?
Yeah. So, but that particular point, you will not find that point anywhere else in the Western world being stressed. It's all just lumped together.
que ese punto en particular no lo vas a encontrar en el mundo occidental. Es como, ¿cómo se diría eso?
Se ponen todo junto.
Es como poner todo en masa, todo revuelto.
Go visit, I mean, I hate to keep saying the word, but go visit all the ISKCON temples around the world and ask them, whose guru is Gaura Kishore? And they're all going to tell you it's Bhaktivinoda, and it's not.
Como en todos los templos de ISKCON puede decir, ¿quién es Gaura Kishore? ¿Quién es el guru de Gaura Kishore?
Bhagavad, what was his name?
Bhagavad Das Babaji.
His guru was named Bhagavad Das Babaji.
Y todos te van a decir que fue Bhaktivinoda, pero no, su guru fue
Bhagavad Das.
Bhagavad
Babaji.
Das.
Bhagavad Das.
And in some Gaudiya Mats you'll see a photo of Vamsidas Babaji. And you ask, well, who's that? And nobody has any idea who that is. But Bhaktisiddhanta used to take the Mahaprasadam of Vamsidas.
Que
And
en
nobody
la,
knows.
en la Gaudiya Mat vas y ves una foto de Vamsidas y nadie sabe quién es.
Why these things have come to be? Because the emphasis is on society consciousness, not Krishna consciousness.
¿Y por qué sucede esto? Porque el énfasis está en la conciencia de sociedad y no en la conciencia de Krishna.
As soon as you put the emphasis on an institution or a society, then the absolute truth moves a little to the side.
Tan pronto,
And eventually it just might move out of the picture completely.
tan pronto como empiezas a poner más énfasis en la institución, en la sociedad, la verdad absoluta se desvía tantito hasta el momento de ya después perderlo de la foto, de la imagen.
Now, when Jayadev was in householder life, his partner, Leela Smarna, a very wonderful devotee who lives in Vermont.
Cuando Jayadev era casado y está hablando de su esposa, Leela Smarana.
So yeah, at that time, Leela Smarna had been with our group for about 7 years.
Leela Smarana estuvo en nuestro grupo por 7 años.
And some people came to visit, some old friends of hers.
Y algunos amigos de ella vinieron a
And so
visitar.
they asked her, what's the name of your group?
Entonces le preguntaron, ¿cuál es el nombre de tu grupo?
Well, first they asked her, how long have you been with Maharaj?
¿Hace cuánto has estado con Maharaj?
She said 7 years.
Y dijo 7 años.
So, what's the name of your group?
¿Cuál es el nombre de tu grupo?
She said, oh, I don't know.
Dijo,
I don't know.
Le dijo,
It's like,
no
you
sé.
don't know? You've been here 7 years, you don't know?
Le dijo, has estado 7 años y no lo sabes.
So when I heard that story, I was very happy. I was very pleased.
Cuando escuché esa historia estuve muy feliz.
Because I didn't even know the name of our group.
Porque incluso yo sabía el nombre de nuestro grupo.
Our group is Krishna Consciousness, Brahma Sampradaya, you know. It's not an institution.
Nuestro grupo es de conciencia Krishna, no es una institución.
Here we're going to have not a website, a Facebook page, Krsna Bhakti Ashram.
Aquí vamos a tener una página de Facebook, se llama Krsna Bhakti Ashram.
In Huejutla, we're Nueva Eka Chakra.
En Huejutla está Nueva Chakra.
In Chikal, we're Hardenas Govinda.
En Chikal está Jardines
In
Govinda.
Mysore, we are Govindaji Gardens
In Mysore.
and Sri Narasingha Chaitanya Ashram.
Mhm.
And in Mulki, we're Kaliamardana Krishna Ashram or the Surf Ashram. And in Vrindavan, we're Rupanuga Bhajan Ashram and Radha Damodar Temple. And only one of those that I mentioned is actually a registered thing with the government.
De todos estos lugares que mencionó que se tienen aquí en México y en India, solamente uno está registrado con el gobierno.
Basically, the institutions are a necessary evil. They're like a pit bull. You got to keep them on a tight rope or they'll rip your own leg off.
Yeah.
Así cuestiones con instituciones como luego hacerle algo a la maldad, ¿no? Porque es como un pitbull que tienes que mantenerlo atado a una cadena porque si no te arranca la pantorrilla.
It's very good to have buildings and properties and things for people to come, but every time people fight over the property, they fight, they tear each other apart, they want position. They want bigger and fancier seats to sit on. Everybody's got to be wearing silks with gold buttons. It's just like, welcome to the Pope, you know.
Que cuando se tienen ranchos, granjas, casas, templos y todo eso, pues llega el momento que sí, todo feliz, pero llega un punto donde pues la gente pelea y todos quieren tener como sus propiedades, su lugar donde sentarse también de forma personal y privada, y pues nada más queda como decirle bienvenido al Papa.
So institutions are necessary, but institutional consciousness is a negative in Krishna consciousness.
Que las cuestiones institucionales es como algo negativo en la cuestión de conciencia de Krishna.
Bhaktivinoda Thakura made a statement in one of his books long time, 100 years ago. He said society consciousness, means institutional consciousness, is the enemy of self-realization.
Bhaktivinoda Thakura solía decir en un enunciado que hace como 100 años, conciencia de sociedad, que se refiere a institución, es la muerte de la conciencia de Krishna.
So if you come here and you listen to lectures and classes, you will hear many things of Krishna consciousness, but they're not institutionalized.
Si estamos aquí, vamos a escuchar muchas cuestiones acerca de la conciencia de Krishna, pero no están institucionalizadas.
For example, the tattva known as Guru Tattva
Como el tema de Guru Tattva.
has Shiksha, Diksha, Chaita Guru. There are many levels and manifestations of this tattva, and in different rasas it's very, very complex.
Hay muchas categorías y niveles en este tema.
So one of those is called Shiksha Guru.
Una de esas categorías es el Shiksha Guru en ese
So
tattva.
a friend of mine wrote a book called Shiksha Guru in ISKCON.
Un amigo de él le escribió algo que se llama Shiksha Guru en ISKCON.
And I said, there's no such thing.
Le dijo, no hay esa tal cosa.
Shiksha Guru is an eternal, universal principle. It has nothing to do with your society or my society or anybody's society. It existed forever. And ISKCON only existed since 1985.
Sí, no puedes relacionarlo a ISKCON porque no tiene que ver con institución. Estás hablando de un principio que es eterno, que ha estado por ahí, e ISKCON ha empezado hace unos cuantos años.
But it's a principle that's explained with the tag that you have to be in ISKCON.
Pero ese principio es explicado de una forma que lo agarran, que debe de estar a fuerza en ISKCON nada más.
Like one day, Giri Maharaj, he asked a senior Swami in ISKCON.
Que una vez Giri Maharaj le preguntó a uno de los devotos
He
avanzados en
said,
ISKCON.
I met some devotees in South India.
Me dijo, he conocido unos
This
devotos
is
en el sur de
30
India.
years ago or something?
Hace como
Almost
30
30
años.
years ago. Yeah, but about there, almost, something like that. And then Giri Maharaj said something about Narasingha Maharaj and his devotees in South India and everything. And he asked him, so they're not in ISKCON, so what happens to those devotees at the end of life?
¿Qué le dijo este devoto? Giri Maharaj le dijo al devoto, le platicó sobre Narasingha Maharaj y unos devotos que están en el sur de la India. Entonces dijo, pero ellos están fuera de ISKCON, ¿qué pasa con ellos?
Now this was a very senior devotee.
Ese es muy, no sé qué decir, ya devoto viejo, o sea, avanzado de ISKCON.
So they told him, well, they'll have to be born in ISKCON in their next life. I was like, oh God.
Y le dijo, lo que va a pasar es que van a nacer en una familia de ISKCON en la siguiente vida.
So what?
¿Qué?
This is called society consciousness.
Ese es llamado conciencia de sociedad.
It's just like if you go to Udupi. Udupi is the place of the Madhva Sampradaya.
Y si vas a Udupi es el lugar de la Madhva Sampradaya.
And they will say, you know, all the Hare Krishna devotees in their next life have to be born in Udupi.
Y dicen que todos los integrantes del movimiento Hare Krishna tienen que nacer en Udupi.
Then they can go back to Godhead.
Entonces de ahí ya pueden irse a Dios.
Complete society consciousness.
Otra vez a lo mismo, institución.
But you'll never find any such thing in Bhagavad Gita, anywhere, nothing, nada. That is irrelevant.
Eso es irrelevante, eso no lo encuentras en el Bhagavad Gita en ningún lado.
It is consciousness,
Es
not
conciencia,
society,
no sociedad,
that takes us to the spiritual world.
que nos toma al mundo espiritual.
So mark that one thing. We are not about society consciousness. We're about the absolute truth and what has been taught to us in our parampara, which is Gaudiya Vaiṣṇava. One of the branches, we say one of, not the only branch, but one of the branches of the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta.
Y por favor recuerden esto, que todo lo que se está diciendo viene a través del parampara y es una de las ramas del Gaudiya Vaiṣṇava, que no decimos es la única, es una de las muchas.
So what is lacking in the world is not the number of books distributed, not the number of temples opened. I mean, these all things are going on, they're still going on. But what I see and what others have seen in the world, which is the biggest deficiency or lacking, is simply a proper understanding.
¿Y qué es lo que está faltando? Porque todo está bien, o sea, la distribución de libros, todo lo que está pasando, pero para él y otros, ¿qué es lo que está como faltando? Es más bien como una falta de un entendimiento apropiado.